I don't care how self-obsessed, self-entitled, or self-made you are. If you don't let go of that pride, if you don't let go of your ego, you will never make the difference you want to see. No matter how many times you deny it, no matter how many times you refuse to accept it, you're the one in your own way. You know you should. You know you should reach out to them after all this time. You know you should apologize to them after all these years. You know you should mend those friendships, those relationships. You know you should. You know you should say what you mean. You know you should do what you say. That you should finally live the life you've always wanted. But you won't. You won't do any of those things. You won't because you take yourself too seriously. You won't because you're too proud. You won't because you care more about the opinions of others than the reality you're desperate to create. You're afraid of looking stupid more than you are of being brave. You don't live the way you want because you let ego live for you. You're in the grips of your own ego. You're being steered by it, suppressed by it. You get annoyed when things don't go your way. You get angry when things go left instead of right, down instead of up. You say things you know you shouldn't, and never say things you know you should. You don't say thank you when you're grateful. I'm sorry when you're wrong. You don't appreciate the good people in your life or explore the interesting ideas that come your way. You live without the courage. You live without the compassion that gives life its meaning. All because you're afraid. Afraid to look weak, to look vulnerable. You hide a lifetime of kindness, dreams, and action behind a mask. Because you're quick to protect your pride. Because you'd rather let ego live your life than live it for yourself. And for what? To look tough? To look perfect? The only look you've earned is an outlook of regret. There's a price for ego, and I promise you, you can't afford it. You'll feel an internal discomfort, a deep frustration that you just can't shake. You'll feel it when you react out of spite. You'll feel it when you let your old habits surface. You'll feel it when you let your ego win. You're holding yourself back because you let your ego make the calls. You let it control your actions and steer your emotions. It tells you when you can be understanding and when you can try new things. When you can say enough, you're suffocating yourself. You're putting yourself in a chokehold because when you're too proud, when you let ego have its way, you let it define your limits. You let it decide when you start and where you end. You give up your gift of freedom. You give up your chance to live a life of value. You know damn well it's a waste of your potential, of your life. It's not the ending you want. But understand, it's an outcome you can change. Grab ego by the throat and drive it into the ground. Stop letting it dictate who you are and who you want to be. Refuse to live within its boundaries. Reject its prescribed limitations. Reclaim your life by burying your ego. Your ego is the voice making comparisons and excuses. It feeds on your fears, your doubts. It represents your worries and your insecurities. It creates stories about how your dreams are too far or too hard. It makes excuses to avoid pain and discomfort. It makes comparisons to avoid feeling left out. Once ego hijacks your thoughts, it ignores facts and feeds you delusions. When you're falling behind, it tells you you're perfect where you are. When you're trying to make amends, it tells you you're being stupid. Ego stops you from going after growth. It stops you from finding meaning. It wants you to stay exactly where you are, because that's where it feels safe, because that's where it can control you. Ego is sabotaging you. It's disorienting you. You hate the things it tells you to do. You hate the person it limits you to be. You act rashly instead of reasonably. You coward instead of commit. Instead of taking you on the path of growth, ego takes you to dead ends. Ones that you will regret, and ones you can't reverse. Your ego will continually tell you that you're already enough, that you're already better than any of them, that you should just take it easy and relax. It'll shackle you to a prison of lies, designed to steal your ambitions. It'll chain you to comfort and make you forget that you once had so much more to give. Shut it out. Don't let your ego slow you down. Don't let your ego numb your drive. Restrain it and find the you beneath it. The you that's filled with conviction and compassion. The you that chooses humility over pride. Shut down your ego by showing gratitude where it's due, by showing kindness where it's needed, and by taking on any challenge out of defiance. Your ego is a dark cloud that hovers over your success. It casts arrogance and complacency. It prides itself on convincing you to stay still. It's the voice that says, you don't need this, or you're already too good for that. It fogs your mind. It paralyzes you from action. Stop letting your ego get in the way of your growth. Take responsibility for your life. You've put in the work. You've got the proof. Don't you ever let ego tell you when you're done. Because as long as you're still breathing, the job's never finished. There's always more to do, and even more to learn. Discipline your ego, and it will turn obstacles into opportunities, failures into lessons, and defeats into victories. You mold the role of your ego. You can make it your greatest ally, or condition it to be your worst nightmare. Your ego looks for comfort because it doesn't want to fail. It'll persuade you to conform to the herd, to conform your old habits so you don't stand out. Deny it of its natural instincts. Embrace your quirks, your imperfections, and your true self. Don't be another imitation or another replica. Be the unfiltered and unapologetic you, because the most powerful version of yourself is the one free of ego. Authenticity is magnetic. It draws people in that resonates with your realness and repels the ones who want the facade. The most influential people in the world aren't those that brag about their accomplishments. The ones that have real power are the ones who possess a quiet confidence, a menacing grip over their ego. The world isn't going to spoon-feed your inflated ego. So regulate it. Discipline it. You're not suppressing confidence. You're valuing humility. Don't waste your life being egotistical. Spend it defying pride. Show it that you're not beyond mistakes. Show it that you're not beyond gratitude. That you are humbly a work in progress. Bring meaning to your life and kill your ego.